we are ready to start the event. We will start with the opening session, where the different organizations will explain the different projects and initiatives in the MENA region. And as a first speaker, I would like to give the floor to Soher Hamedi, who is the program officer for the MENA region in IRENA. So Soher, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Carlos. Thank you all. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. يسعدني أن أرحب بكم جميعا في هذه الورشة التدريبية لاستعمال أداة الفلكس تول التي تم تطويرها من طرف IRENA. Dear guests, participants and distinguished partners, it is my pleasure to welcome you all to this online hands-on training on the use of the FlexTool version 2 developed by IRENA. In line with IRENA's strategy to support its member countries to deploy renewable energy technologies in their respective electricity mix, the FlexTool has been developed on a free access basis and is used for the flexibility assessment of national and regional power systems. This training for the Arab countries is a continuation of other trainings that have been already organized by IRENA in Latin America and Asia in order to familiarize and explain the FlexTool use and benefits to its member countries. So this is the third regional FlexTool training that is organized, and this time it is for the Arab countries. As far as IRENA's engagement in the Arab countries is concerned, IRENA has been working on two main work streams. One is on a bilateral stream, and the other one on a regional stream. On the bilateral stream, IRENA has supported a number of countries in the development of RRA studies or outlook reports for Mauritania, Oman, Egypt, and we have just yesterday finalized the one for Lebanon, and we are about to finalize the RRA for Tunisia very shortly. And we have also another Arab countries that have applied for the RRA studies, and these studies are going to be undertaking starting end of 2020 and beginning of 2021 for countries like Iraq, Kuwait, and Sudan, and Saudi Arabia also. So on the bilateral stream, our work is mainly based on requests that are made by specific countries, either for RRA studies or for very specific technical work that they would require us to do for them. On the regional stream, we have been working with our partners in the League of Arab States and the Regional Center for Renewable Energy and Energy Efficiency, RICRI, and with them we have been working on implementing the Pan-Arab Clean Energy Initiative, which has identified a number of actions and activities to help support Arab countries on a regional basis for the deployment of renewable energy technologies. As far as this workshop is concerned, this is an initiation for Arab planners, whether at the level of the ministries, institutions, or the utilities. And this training is not going to be the end of the discussion on the use of FlexTool, because following this workshop, IRENA will be very happy to reply to requests by countries if they want to have more support on the use of the FlexTool, or to conduct specific FlexTool analysis and assessments for their respective electricity system. So please take advantage of this training in order to familiarize yourself as much as you can in the use of this tool, And following this workshop, the discussion with member countries will go on, and we will be very happy to support you even further for additional work on the use of the FlexTool in your respective countries. So thank you very much all. Thank you for the guests. Thank you for the attendees. Thank you for the participants and panelists. And I wish you all to have a very successful workshop. Thank you very much. So I think that now it's the turn of for Madame Jamila to speak. So I am going to call her on her mobile phone, and you can hear her through my audio directly.
We can try if we can hear her microphone directly. I think it's probably resolved now.
Can you hear Madame Jamila? Madame Jamila, أنت سمعانا؟ Because I'm calling her on her phone and she's not answering. اهلا يا مدام، اهلا مهندسه جميله. اهلا انت مش قادره تتكلمي، مش سامعين، احنا مش سامعين كيف. اوكي، على كل حال انت ممكن انا هعملك على السبيكر وانت ممكن تتكلمي مباشره.
اوكي.
Can you hear her?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's my pleasure to participate in this workshop, IRENA FlexTool training for assessing power system flexibility to achieve a higher share of renewables. Let me seize this opportunity to extend my greetings to you all and my thanks to the International Renewable Energy Agency, IRENA, for inviting the Energy Department and the League of Arab States to participate in this important workshop. The Energy Department is an integral department of the economic sector at the Arab League and serves as the Secretariat of the Arab Ministerial Council of Electricity. The department is mandated to follow up on issues related to energy and electricity within an integrated regional framework designed to optimize the utilization of the available energy resources. One of the main objectives of the Arab Ministerial Council of Electricity is promoting electrical interconnection between Arab states and supporting member states in scaling up their use of renewable energy. The demand for energy sources in our region is constantly escalating. For electricity, the rate is about 3 times the global average. The Arab countries are almost completely dependent on oil and natural gas resources to meet their energy requirements, as these two sources represent more than 95% of the total energy consumption in the Arab countries. Therefore, our vision of issues facing the energy sector is based on 3 pillars. First is to maintain the strategic position of the Arab region in global energy market so that the energy sector remains a major source of national income rather than becoming an impediment or a consumer of other sources of income. The second is to diversify energy resources, and the third is to strengthen the Arab trend at all levels towards integration. Ladies and gentlemen, flexibility has become a common byword when transforming energy system towards the one dominated by renewable energy, primarily wind and solar. Flexibility of operation is defined as the ability to respond in a timely manner to variations in electricity supply and demand. Variability and uncertainty are not new to power systems. Loads change over time in an unpredictable way sometimes, and conventional resources fail unexpectedly. Variable renewable energy supply, however, can make this balance harder to achieve. Both solar and wind generation output vary significantly over time, sometimes in a predictable manner, but often imperfectly forecasted. In these power systems, it can take several years to design and build new generators and transmission lines. The planning process is the first critical activity to ensure that the power system of the future possesses sufficient flexibility to accommodate the growth of variable renewable generation. In the absence of sufficient planning, the resulting power system may not have sufficient flexibility to operate efficiently. As we know, one of the major sources of flexibility is the electrical interconnection. The Arab countries have paid great attention to this topic since the beginning of the 70s of the last century. Under the umbrella of the Arab League, 16 Arab countries signed a memorandum of understanding to establish the Pan-Arab electricity market. That was in April 2017. This huge step will be complemented by approving the General Agreement and the Market Agreement by the ministers this year. All national networks and power systems need to be efficient and flexible in order to be able to join this market. The IRENA FlexTool training has been developed in response to the increasing need to understand the operation of power systems with high shares of variable renewable energy. We genuinely think that this training is important and hope it provides participants with the needed knowledge. Thank you all, and sorry for the technical issues.
Thank you, Madam Jamila. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so thanks a lot, Madam Jamila. Thanks a lot also, Soher, for the introductory presentation. I will now give the floor to Maged Mahmoud, who is the acting executive director of the Regional Center for Renewable Energy and Energy Efficiency. Dr. Maged, the floor is yours.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It is a great pleasure to join you today in this important training, which we see as a timely training given the fact that the Arab region now, in fact, has a substantial amount, I would say around 6% renewable energy contribution, which is envisaged to be more in the coming decade. In fact, we are anticipating that the Arab region will have more than 190 gigawatt of installed capacities from renewable energy resources, which entail accelerated actions to achieve ambitious targets set by 2035. So we see this training as a timely training. Also knowing that over the past 10 years, we had around 10-fold increase in the solar and power capacities in the region, and now some of the countries are already discussing deeply the impact of the integration of renewable resources in their electricity grids. Over the past decade, in fact, we have been proudly collaborating with our most important partner, the League of Arab States Energy Department and the Arab Ministerial Council of Electricity, as well as international partners, and then among the leading institutions that we have collaborated with is IRENA in several aspects. So we are trying here to provide technical, I would say, support to promote these new concepts of proper planning, including the variable renewable energy generation. In fact, the integration of a greater share of renewables in the power system, the power systems now is important to all Arab countries, and we are seeing this training, and in fact, the other steps that we are taking jointly with IRENA and with our partners, including the League of Arab States and the other partners also, that this step is to help our member states to achieve their energy security and the energy sustainability, and also addressing the fears of the conventional sector that is unfortunately still dominating the market. Good planning tools are essential, and this is why we look at this IRENA FlexTools as one of the openers for this sort of thinking and this sort of proper planning, because simply this is the only publicly and freely available open source tool, and especially that we are looking into both capacity and the investment planning and dispatch. So as well as dispatch. So we are focusing on the both sides of the equation that is that really matters for the power sector specialists. And here also there is an important and very interesting part that we are looking at, the part of the demand response and sector coupling. I mean that we of course, we are all looking at solutions like electric vehicles, like power to heat, power to gas, power to X in general. And we see this is an opportunity also to enable you to understand better how to use the planning tool to address these important issues. I hope that IRENA would give in this important training some light on these particular issues. But later on, we as RCRE are promising our member states that we will focus deeply on the new emerging issues that will help you to have a very modernized power sector. In fact, this is part of our collaboration with the League of Arab States for the implementation of Arab Sustainable Energy Strategy, which includes, in fact, major parts related to the integration of renewable energy and the energy efficiency, improving the utilities performance to address higher uptakes of renewable energy and energy efficiency solution, transitioning towards smarter grids, and many other issues. So we will continue our work as we started collaboration in designing policies, action plans, and providing technical support to member states in every aspect of renewable energy and energy efficiency. RCRE will continue working with our member states and our partners to enable a future that is much higher in the sustainable energy change. I wish you a very useful and fruitful training course, in fact, and we are gladly collaborating with IRENA. We thank IRENA, we thank the League of Arab States, and we thank you all as attendees and as our partners, and in fact our first and most important client that we are proud to serve. We will work together to enhance the situation and to, in fact, to adapt to the new regional needs toward having a better future for all of us. Thank you, and I wish you a very useful training. Thank you, Dr. Zuhair, and the floor is yours, of course.
Thank you very much, Dr. Maguette. As a last presentation in this first opening session, I would like to give the floor to Emanuele Taibi, who is the head of the Power Sector Transformation Strategies team, who is the team in charge of the development and use of IRENA FlexTool. So, Emanuele, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Carlos. And first of all, again, my apologies for the slight delay in the start. We'll try to make up the time in the following session. So thank you very much to the League of Arab States and RCRE as partners in joining the opening session of this training. And thank you to all of you for making the time for attending this training. So I hope the training will be meeting all your questions on the tool. It's an initial training, so we don't aim to go into extreme details in everything you could possibly do with the Flex tool, but we would be happy and feeling that the training was successful if you are now able to use the tool, and as you use it moving along, we would be happy to engage again with you to answer further questions or to schedule a follow-up, more advanced training. The idea is that we will just give you an overview of where the tool sits in the planning process and how this can address some of your needs. And then we will go into the hands-on part of the training where we will show you how it works. We will do some exercises together to make sure that you're familiar with the basic functions and you can navigate through the tool and start using it. And from there, we're happy to continue engaging with you to enhance your knowledge of the details of, let's say, more advanced functions that you might want to test in the tool. So this is not covering 100% of what the tool can do, but we are hopeful that this will help you to get started with trying using it. Next slide, please. Okay, so the tool is part of a package. The package is the work that IRENA has been doing to assist its member countries on power system flexibility. And we define power system flexibility as the capability of a power system to cope with variability and uncertainty. So as we heard before, forecasts are improving, but they're not yet perfect. Related to solar and wind generation, VRE, we say variable generation, solar, PV, wind, and run-of-river hydro. At different timescales is also a very important element. We're going to look at typically a hourly resolution for this kind of analysis, but we can look really from a few seconds all the way to let's say seasonal variability as characteristics of flexible power systems. And of course, we're trying to avoid any shedding of the load and minimizing the need to curtail the output of variable resources. Next slide, please. So the idea is that flexibility is available in all parts of the power system. We heard that also in the previous introductory remarks, that definitely we are looking more and more at sector coupling as one of the sources of flexibility. So we're really moving from more flexible generation to interconnection, that was also mentioned. So increasing the let's say the meshing of the grid and increasing the capacity of cross-border interconnection is also a very important source of flexibility. Another very hot topic, of course, is storage. So where pumped hydro was available has been quite widely deployed, but now we are looking at batteries and electric vehicles as batteries on wheels as sources of flexibility for the power system. And we're looking more and more at the demand of electricity as a source of flexibility. So the ability of demand of following supply. So as we move from a world where the energy was stored into a fuel and burned when demand was requesting it, now we move to a world where the generation is more variable and the load should become more controllable. And that means the electricity load, but also the electricity load that relates to other sectors, as it could be, for instance, the provision of heating and cooling, the provision of mobility services, and the production of green gases. In particular, we are focusing a lot of our work on hydrogen these days. And then finally, the first and foremost source of flexibility is the one that is locked by existing market and operational settings. And so looking at, let's say, low cost or no cost practices that can help in unlocking existing flexibility is really the starting point. Next slide, please. So as I mentioned, the FlexTool is part of a package. We discussed flexibility as a concept. So we have an overview for policymakers. And then we do have a methodological report that came with that describes how to do flexibility assessments. This can be done with a variety of tools, but of course, to make something readily available, open source, and relatively accessible in terms of complexity, we developed with the VTT Research Center of Finland, the FlexTool, that basically applies the methodology that we outline in the report that you see on the bottom part of the screen. And we tested that with 4 of our member countries in a joint exercise, trying to look at a variety of different systems and how flexibility plays out in those. And then we started doing more regional scope projects. These are, let's say, ad hoc projects that are funded through voluntary contributions. We are well ahead in the assessment of the Central American power system. And we're starting this week, really, the Southeast Asian regional outlook, together with our colleagues from the REMAP team that do the outlook. We look at the flexibility part of that. And we're also making sure that FlexTool is well known, but also the people can use it for their work if they wish to do so. So we started with an in-depth country training in Cuba that was piloting the training materials. And now we are deploying a series of remote training, partly because of the COVID situation, but also partly because we realized that this is a quite effective way of reaching many people and to get started at the first level in using the tool. So we had one in Latin America in May, we had at the beginning of June one for ASEAN, and we are now working with you in the MENA region, also based on some requests we received in the past from a variety of countries in the region about the tool. So we want to give a good overview and allow you to start using it and see if it suits the needs. Next slide, please. So just a few words before we get started about the objective of a flexibility assessment beyond the FlexTool itself. So primarily, the idea is that once you have a long-term capacity expansion plan for power generation, you would need to test if the power system is flexible enough to operate with the capacity mix that has been identified. And this is the primary objective of the flexibility assessment. If the flexibility is identified not to be sufficient, then an investment phase, which is similar to what you do in the long-term capacity expansion, but focusing on flexibility options, would allow you to find a least cost mix of solutions to make the system flexible enough. And then finally, it allows you to run sensitivity analysis and try to push the boundaries of flexibility and see how much more you could potentially deploy, either a least cost or simply trying to look at how much more you can do if policies wants to push beyond least cost. And so this is just in a nutshell what we see as a way of doing a flexibility assessment. And we will run you through the use of the tool and some examples to do that during today's training. Then finally, last slide, please. So our colleagues from the long-term planning team and of course from the MENA region team engaged with you in Amman last year, looking at long-term planning in Arab countries. And one of the results of the survey that was run during the training was that 12 out of 15 countries identified as one of the priorities the need to validate the long-term capacity mix in terms of flexibility. And I think my colleague Daniel can say definitely a few more words than I can on this very topic. But the idea is that this training also starts to respond as a first step to this need that was identified last year during that event. So I think I will stop here for now, and I will talk to you again later on during today's training. And I think we take a small technical break to switch the presenter, and we finish with the slides so that the next speaker from IRENA will get you through some of more details of power sector planning in Arab countries based on the work that has been ongoing for the last few years. And so we take a small break and then we hand it over to Daniel Russo. Thank you very much.